Money Talk, brought to you by Taylor's AKPK.
All right. Okay. I see a few more people just entered. So hello and welcome. So currently we're taking attendance. So if you guys see on the screen, do scan the QR code and key in the passcode bank123 in all caps, and then you can just fill in your details and your attendance will be recorded. You can also access it via the link in the chat. Yes. All right. Is everyone good to go? Everyone has taken your attendance? If you guys are, please put done in the chat. If not, if you haven't done yet, and if you need more time, do let us know as well. All right, we're getting a lot of done. Nice. Anyone else need more time? All right, awesome. I'm seeing a lot of done. Okay, no worries. So I guess we can move on now. All right. So before we kickstart the session, let me tell you guys a little bit more about Taylor's AKPK Club, especially for the first timers here today at our Money Talk series. So Taylor's AKPK Club, established on the 1st of August 2020, aims to educate undergraduates to become financially smart youth. Our purpose is to instill awareness about the importance of prudent financial management among youth. Our club is affiliated to the Credit Counseling and Debt Management Agency, or better known as Agency Counseling dan Pengurusan Kredit (AKPK), a counseling and financial management agency that is set up by Bank Negara Malaysia to help individuals take control of their financial situation and gain peace of mind that comes with the wise use of credit. So, in line with AKPK's objective, our club wants to promote financial literacy to enable young adults to make sound financial decisions, which in turn will help them lead a more abundant life. So, moving on. Now, Taylor's AKPK Club has two signature events that are held monthly. The first one is our Money Talk series, which is what you guys are in now. So, Money Talk is essentially an interactive financial sharing session where we bring in speakers who are industry experts and professionals to share valuable insights on their area of expertise. We've had, we've had Money Talks on cryptocurrency, budgeting, and even investment. Making Sense, on the other hand, is our newly launched podcast series where we have a casual chit chat session with fellow peers and discuss topics like debunking financial myths and spending patterns. Money Talk recordings and Making Sense episodes are available on our YouTube channel, Taylor's AKPK Club. The link to our channel will be sent in the chat as well. And do check out our second episode of Making Sense that was just released, which where we have our hosts Aisha and Denise discuss with guests from UFIC, Unitan Financial and Investment Club, on their MCO expenses. All right. So moving on. So before delving in, on the screen right now is a QR code to Slido where you can drop any questions that you might have about our talk later. And don't worry, it's anonymous. So you can also access the page through the link in the chat box. So I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes, sorry, a few minutes to actually open this up and, like have it ready with you. All right. Okay, so I guess we can get right into it. All right, so here it is, stepping into retail banking. So let us welcome our guest speakers, Mr. Stephen Chin and Ms. Soon Yee Ling. All right, Mr. Stephen is a seasoned banker with more than 29 years of experience in the banking industry. He was a branch manager in Eon Bank and Hong Leong Bank in the earlier part of his career before assuming the role of regional director of CIMB Bank, in which he has received many awards. He currently serves as the regional director of RHB Bank in Sabah and Federal Territory of Labuan. He specializes in retail banking and SME banking. Let's give him a big round of applause. Mr. Stephen, would you like to say hi?
Hi, everybody. See you.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. Next is Miss Soon Yee Ling. Miss Soon is currently the Regional Sales Head, Affluent and Wealth of RHB Bank. Trailed with a long list of achievements, she carries with her vast experience in the banking industry, having held positions such as an SME Relationship Manager, Preferred Relationship Manager, Preferred Segment Manager, Retail Segment Manager, and Branch Manager. Let's give Miss Soon a big round of applause as well.
Hi.
Awesome. So thank you for joining us today, Mr. Stephen and Ms. Soon. So now I'd like to pass the floor to our guest speakers on their presentation on what exactly retail banking is. Mr. Stephen and Ms. Soon, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Aswina.
Hi, thank you, Asina, and good to see you all making the time to attend this session. I'm happy to be here. It makes me feel young. Okay, today what we want to talk about is about stepping into retail banking. It's less formal talk, but it's more on giving knowledge and a sense of what is going on in the real world, because we come from the real world. And we are not lecturers in the lecture room, but we are really bankers who is in the banking line for many years. So I hope today we can share some insight with you all about what is actually in the banking line and what kind of opportunity as far as career opportunity and progression is about in this line. So I'm going to give you some brief before we move into the details, probably a little bit of introduction of how the banks actually divide itself. Okay, this is not the very technical, but it's really what happens, how the banks in Malaysia actually operates. Okay, it may not get you past your exam, but I think you get a lot of value for you to, as you speak to people, speak to your future possible employer about banking industry. Now let's move. Okay, let me see whether I can move the screen. Yep. So commercial banks. Okay, we have commercial banks in Malaysia and broadly divided into the foreign and the local banks. But as far as commercial banks is concerned, they divide into broadly about these three divisions. It's called the retail banking, commercial banking, and corporate banking. So let's start with what do they do? Who do they mainly deal with? Okay, so retail bankings are actually the main customer are individuals like you and me, okay, people, okay, and probably small and medium enterprise like partnership, sole prop, business which are probably with 10 million annual turnover and below. And then we have this commercial banking. Commercial banking is more focused on businesses. So the main customer, the people, the entity they deal with are business entity, such as limited companies and with bigger paid up capitals, bigger operation, and bigger turnovers. So those are commercial banking. And the third division is corporate banking. As by the name suggested, it deals with big corporates, rather bigger businesses. Okay, so these are the three types of division we can basically find in any commercial banks in Malaysia. So what does all these different divisions do? What kind of service they provide? So I think you all must have a bank account, okay, a bank account whereby you put in money, deposit, and you withdraw. So retail banking, the basic function is like they take your money and then they lend it to somebody else, the intermediary of current money. So that is two main things, right? There are two things there, that taking deposit and also giving away lendings. Then lendings including like housing loan, term loans, overdraft, personal financing, and stuff like that. Beyond that, we also in the retail banking they also provide wealth management. So when you have certain kind of wealth you build up and then you save. When people save up money, then they have this problem. Not only lack of money is the problem, but when you have money, it's also a problem. You need to think of how to grow the money, or how to project the money, and how to distribute the money moving forward. So wealth management is one big piece of the retail banking in recent decades. Okay. And finally, we also provide this forex. When you move on to overseas, studying overseas, you need to convert your money into pounds or US, or you purchase overseas. You need this kind of conversion. So retail banking also provide this kind of service to individuals. For commercial banking, okay, business in the business world, they need to provide the business a way to transact, okay, money to transact. So they provide transactional solution. It can be a very traditional cash transacting, banking cash. It can be like checking account and stuff like that, right? And now the latest is we do e-banking. So these are solutions to help business run more smoothly. And beyond that is loan. Okay, businesses, especially those expanding business or the new ones, they need funds. They need funds to run the business. And we in the commercial banking provide this. Then we have this cash management. Okay, cash management. When you receive cash, how do you handle it? And when you have access of it, you have to if the access is significantly big, then you want to have some ways to like make the money actually work harder for the business. And again, forex, right? So if you look at commercial banking and corporate banking, the type of service they provide is more or less the same. It's just the scale. It could be more complicated a bit. It could be bigger in scale in corporate banking, whereas commercial banking is the medium scale. So those are the differences the service provided by the different division of the bank. Now, so we talk about who do they deal with, right? The bank, and then what kind of service. Then we look at the location, the functional units. So basically in Malaysia, this is what we have. You normally heard about maybe your family members or your friends put in the head office or regional office as in branch office. So there's three broad locations whereby things are happening. Head office is like the brain of the banking unit. They are the think tank. They design things. They strategize things. Again, they develop and they monitor. Okay, and that is what they do. It's just like the big brain of the whole organization. But the business actually happens on the ground. So at the other spectrum is a branch office whereby operation happens, meaning that people bring in money, customers come in and try to open accounts. That is where the bank faces the mass market, the mass customer on the ground. Okay, so there are operations and there are sales and there are services and compliance. Compliance is a big piece in the bank because banking environment is a very highly regulated piece. You don't want your money put in the bank and one day you discover that it's gone. A lot of scams are happening. A lot of fraud are happening, right? So that is why compliance is very important in the banking environment. So that's what happened in the branch office. Now, what about in the middle, the regional office? It's just the bridge, right? They are like a bridge. They take all that inputs from head office and they translate into the action in between the branches, so that they are like a intermediary. These people are responsible for the results of the sales and supervise and guide whatever happening at the ground at the branch office. So these are the functional units. Why am I telling you this? Because we are talking about stepping into retail banking, right? We want to and with a pretext of what are the career opportunity in this retail banking. So at least we know these are the places where things are happening and the job function that is going on. So you have a clearer picture. So that is a functional units. Okay. Now, yes.
So I'll tag on from here.
Yeah, Yi Ling.
All right. I think most of you probably might want and interested to join bank, for instance, like after you graduated. So it might come into your mind like, what are the available positions in bank? For this context, we actually zoom into branches because I believe like all of the students here, you might not be based in Klang Valley. Some of you are based in Penang, probably Sabah, Sarawak, Johor. So if you are not based in the Klang Valley per se, then the opportunity that you have would be quite limited to branches. All right. So in branches a lot, we actually split into two categories, which is on the operation side. They are not doing the sales. Okay, just put in your mind, operation, they are not major in sales. Whereas another pillar is on the sales and marketing. So if you look at the operation, like I believe all of you have visited bank before. So when you go to the bank one day, nowadays you will see somebody at the welcome desk that help you to click on the ticketing. All right. This is what we call a service ambassador. So they will ask you what you want to do, how may I assist you? So this is what we call service ambassador. So then you will probably want to deposit your money, then you will go to the tellers. All right. Normally the person sitting behind the tellers are all the officers. All right. And then the whole operation will normally oversee by the assistant branch manager. All right. Of course, you will have officer handling the cash, which we call it the chief cashier. All right. Then you will have people like doing the account opening. Normally, these are the officer as well. Now, if you notice, on the sales and marketing side, there is where the branch manager came in. I think back to many years ago, we probably would think that branch manager is in charge of the operation. All right. But right now, most of the bank, branch manager is considered as the sales leader of the branch. All right. Basically, they need to garner sales and also leading the team in getting more sales. Now, probably in that context, under the sales, which is highly demanded right now, if you were to ask me, like under branches, what are the popular position available? It will be under the sales column. All right. So we will have like relationship managers because in the banking under the branch, we will normally differentiate between the premier and non-premier customer. Premier means they are cash rich. All right. So these are normally served by the relationship manager. So these are what we call RMs. They are going to give advice to the customer on how to actually grow the money, be it in the investment or bank assurance or any other products that the customer needs. Now, then we will have a position like a personal banker loan. Then by itself, the name, they are actually helping customer to process like housing loan, personal financing and all this. Then we will have this personal banker also selling the wealth management product like unit trust per se or bank assurance. And also you might also encounter like banks, they are hiring the insurance specialist, like a personal banker. So I think sometimes if you look through the job street, you might find a similar name. Some bank actually use a personal financial consultant. Okay. Some bank will use like a financial service consultant. So all these positions that you browse through job street are actually referring to the sales position per se. So if you have time, just register yourself to job street. If you are staying in Penang, you might just type Penang. And I think most of the position offered are on the sales side at this juncture. Yeah, thanks. I'll pass over to you, Stephen.
Yeah, okay. Unless you are staying in Klang Valley in KL and you plan to start a life there, then working in the bank in other locations will be basically in the branches. So that is why we are focusing on this, because I know not everyone likes to live in Klang Valley. Not everyone likes the traffic jam or the pollution. Or the long traveling time. For one, I don't like it. So I'm at the region, and I find this is a very enriched, satisfying and enriching job as well. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, now I'm going to introduce you another aspect. Just now we are talking about at the retail branch. Those are the positions Yi Ling have mentioned. But of course, at the states in the outside city or branches away from Klang Valley or KL, there are these positions whereby it's also open. There are these positions in various locations. So it's called the SME. SME is small, medium enterprise. Now inside the SME, basically you can divide them into two main group of people. One is we know them as farmers, and the other we identify them as hunters. of course, they are not the one who actually deliver your vegetables or your tomatoes or the other one delivering the wild boar for you, right? They are not the real hunters or farmers, but it's a analogy that those type of job scope they have. So farmers actually they normally sit in the office. Okay, they manage a portfolio of customer whereby they have borrowings or deposit with the bank, and these managers actually review it and then help to grow the relationship. It could be giving more loans, it could be restructuring the loans and provide solution for them in order to grow their business and provide a viable solution to the customer. So this bunch of people are relationship builder, and they are really looking through a whole stack of customer already in the bank, already have a relationship, and enhance them. So we have, in those departments, we typically have a head, and then then we have these portfolio managers, probably a few of them there, taking care of hundreds of thousands, 100 or a few thousand of accounts. And then it is supported by administrative supports in terms of handling the paperwork, the documents, and so forth. What is hunters? Hunters is basically outgoing marketeers. They go out, they go into the business world, they go into this, and try to solicit a new business and get in new customers. So it's the same setup, but the way they get the business is quite different. That's why they are called the hunters. They need to go out and look for new customer and bring them in. So that's basically what is happening in the SME. So what is different between these two groups and the one Yi Ling mentioned just now? This one actually they are dealing with all these small business owners, and they deal with the business. They give loans to the business. They take the deposit from the business rather than the individual itself. So that's the big difference. And people who are doing this, right, usually they need to have a better understanding and better credit qualification and also aptitude, so that they can analyze the business, they read the financial statement, and they assess the risk, the credit risk, and provide a suitable solution for the customer. So that is from the SME common position.
When you actually join bank, then definitely you will have the privilege whereby the bank will help you to register for the licensing. All right. So for instance, like for under the loan and credit bucket, then you will have the professional credit certification. So we will separate into two. One is for the under the retail side, individual, and another paper is for the business. So you will have what we call a PCC in the banking industry. Now, moving into wealth management, then you will have more license to take because it is more sophisticated. So for this first CUTE, or what we call FIMM, this is the license whereby you need before you sell unit trust to customer. All right. So for PCE PCE and CILI is the license that you need to sell insurance in the conventional term to customer, whereas TBE is the license that you need before selling the Takaful product, which is the Islamic bank assurance to customer. PRS is another form of unit trust. That is the license that you need. And a more advanced investment product, then you will need IPPC. So if you have all these licenses with you, then I think you are very sellable. Wherever you go, people will want to have you with the organization. So yeah, so that's the privilege you have when you actually join a bank, and you will get a lot of knowledge and also licenses. Okay.
Yeah. So I think we have spoken enough about the retail banking and what kind of job opportunity are there and what actually we are doing, but in a very, very simplified and brief terms, right? I think it's better now for us to know actually what interests you, what do you want to know from us. Okay, we would like to come and just answer questions rather than we talk a lot of things whereby you don't really want to know. So we rather spend more time on the question and answer bits because we really we are bringing the answer of the real life banking environment and the job interviews. We are the ones actually probably we interviews every week. Okay, for candidates, and probably if you want to know what it is real like and what are the things that banks are actually looking for, or how do you prepare yourself, probably we can give you some of the pointers from our perspective. So with that, I'm going to stop here and probably wait and listen if anybody have any question that we can help you with.
Yeah, we do not want to bore you with all the slides.
All right, thank you so much for that presentation, Mr. Stephen and Ms. Soon. Now, I definitely have a much better understanding of the banking industry, and I'm sure the rest do too. And also, what's really like surprising is I never knew that farmers and hunters were positions, in the SME banking division. So that is something that's very new to me. So thank you so much for that. So now we're going to pull out our Slido link and answer the questions that you dropped for our speakers. All right, so Denise has started sharing. So if you haven't already put in your questions, feel free to do so. You can just scan the QR code or otherwise go to slido.com and key in the key that you see at the side there. And if you feel that there's a question that relates to you, do upvote it by clicking on the thumbs up button next to each person. All right, so let's get right into it. So Mr. Stephen and Ms. Soon, so I'll start off. So the first question is, are there any aspects of retail banking that involves trade of underlying assets like futures and options, or aspects of investment banking like research analytics?
I'll take this.
Yeah.
All right. Under the retail banking, if you could remember what I mentioned earlier on, we have this position called Relationship Manager. All right. I informed that they actually sell a more advanced investment product, which we call it structured product. And all these structured products, the underlying are actually futures and options. So I'm not too sure if I answered your question correctly. But if you're talking about developing the product and all this, it should be best on the head office under the product team. That include the research and analytic position that will be best in HQ. But in terms of like selling and proposing the product to the customer, then it will be more on the job of what we call a relationship manager.
Yeah, I think Yi Ling put it rightly. So we do not actually know which direction you're asking about this question, but when you talk about future options and then you are trading of those things, right? It normally happens in the product itself is actually happening in the investment banking. So research analytics, those are more in investment banking, which is not at the commercial banking. It's totally a different entity. So retail banking, we are just taking those products and sell it to the public, sell it to the customer. So it's different. In the retail banking, it's more on matching the needs of the customer and deliver the matching goods. Whereas if you are talking about you are developing this product, it has to go into the investment banking. But you're talking about doing research on how to on the investment opportunity and those, right? It also can be happening in the retail banking head office, whereby they have a team of experts who is looking into investment opportunity and trends. Yeah, hopefully we answer your question.
All right. So retail banking is more of actually selling the products that the investment bankers and all come up with. I see. Okay, that's very interesting. So I hope this question is answered. Moving on, we can go to the next one. So what are your day-to-day activities like in the retail banking industry?
My day-to-day, I think probably it's not my day-to-day. Probably like I think most I would at the perspective of the graduate, most of the graduate join bank. If under the retail banking, then mostly they will actually begin with the position that I highlighted earlier on, which is under the sales. So the day-to-day activities will be more into calling customer for appointment and then meeting up with people, proposing solutions, building rapport with customer and all this. Yeah, and also if there are customer coming into banking hall, then the sales staff will need to take initiative to talk to customer. So yeah.
Yeah, maybe I just want to chip in. I think yeah, we should take this from the angle of fresh graduate who wants to join the bank, and in the entry level in retail banking, what are the day-to-day activities? You think about, actually you have many ways to look at it, but basically if you look at what they do, the action, right, is basically come into the bank. One of the things is to read emails and read articles, okay, to get yourself up to speed. And the second thing is to learn things. You need to do e-learning so that you again get yourself up to speed. Then when the banking hours starts, it involves interacting with customer. So interacting with customer, it could be like customer walking in, you talk to them, or it could be customer calling in, you answer them, or more likely that you are calling the customer. So all these are with one objective. The objective is to provide the service and solution to the customer who needs it. And if you are looking at that in this positive light, you will be able to really move forward with a lot of purpose and enthusiasm. Okay, I noticed that a lot of times nowadays people want to work in the bank, but they seldom like to take the sales role. They want to do operation, no targets. It's so stressful. But I think that is the wrong perception. Actually, operation is very sad. You can't do the same thing over and over again. Very mundane. Probably 1 or 2 months you already learned everything. Then it begins 10 years of 10 years of experience. Actually, 1 year of experience, because you repeat the 1 year over and over again. But in sales, actually, I encourage young people to come into the banking sector and actually take on this one. It's a very good test of character. Build your a lot of human skill as also your willpower. I think that is very important. Yeah.
Like every day is a new challenge, and every day is a new experience to learn something. I think it's also really nice how like fresh graduates are given the opportunities to hone their people skills, even on the fresh graduate level. All right, thank you so much for that. Moving on. I think this question a lot of people are interested in, because now it's the work from home time, and also how exactly is the work-life balance in the world of retail banking?
There is no one answer for this. Okay, reason being is because, to be frank, the work-life balance it depending on yourself, right? If you can hit your target, if you can finish your work perfectly on time, then I think you're allowed to leave lah, right? But of course, sometimes it depending on your boss as well lah. Sometimes your boss might demand you to stay late and all this lah. But overall, based on my experience in banking line for more than 10 years, I think I do have work-life balance. I do not stay really late at work. Yeah, I have time for my family. I have time for my hobbies and all this. Yeah.
All right, that's really nice. Mr. Ling, yeah.
I think work-life balance, if you ask 10 bankers, they will give you 10 different answers. And it all boils down to how you manage yourself, and manage your boss, and manage your work, and how your boss manage you.
Yeah.
Right? So it depends on a lot of things, but it really makes a lot of difference if you can really plan your work well and present yourself in a very responsible way. Then when you get something done, I mean, when you give the organization what they demanded from you, then you can have what you wanted from them. So if you that is a balancing act lah, I would say.
Yeah.
So
we don't have answer for that, because like even I am staying at the same branch with my friends. I can leave at 5:30 sharp, but he is staying like until 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and he won't come back on the weekend. So it's pretty much depending on the situation and how you actually manage everything.
So at the end of the day, it comes down to actually time management, work management, and actually what your job scope requires of you.
Yeah. Then it depends a lot about the culture itself, because some of the culture, right, they just tend to like see who can stay out later, right? And if that's the thing, then you are under pressure of being dragged on in the workplace, but not really productive. Yeah.
I see. All right. Thank you so much for sharing. So moving on, the next question. So do you need a finance-related degree to pursue retail banking, or is there any specifically helpful degrees for retail banking?
If you were to have finance related degree, I believe it will be helpful because at the end of the day, when you join bank, you will need to take some of the exam, right? Like the licenses, and these licenses somehow rather will actually relate to what you have learned. But we also hire people who is not from finance background. We hire engineer even to take up a sales right now. So it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, we would want to see the attitude of that person and then the potential that we see in him. You see? So yeah, so that's my answer.
All right.
Okay, I would say it depends where you want to work. If you want to work in the front line, in the branches, in the retail banking front line, then it really doesn't matter much. Okay, but it would definitely help. But if you are looking for in the HQ, you want to do something more at the core of it, like designing and in planning, right? Then probably you need to have more specific degree.
Yeah.
Because you can be like there's a lot of data scientists that we need in the banking industry nowadays, because things go into digital. We actually AI is one of the big things. Big data is one of the big things. So those are even more important than the financial degrees. So it all depends. Now in the financial institution, financial sector, right? Things are being very specialized in the kind of area lah. So that's my answer to you.
Okay. So it's about honing other skills as well, and as well you can take like side courses, like related to banking to actually help you out stronger. All right, thank you so much. So moving on to the next question, I think this was pretty much covered in your presentation just now, but if you could give us maybe a brief 1 or 2-liner summary on the main difference between retail banking and the other types of banking, such as digital, investment, and commercial. Maybe you could like recap. Maybe this is someone who missed out on the presentation earlier and they just joined and they were asking. Yeah, if there was like a 1-2-liner.
Okay, so retail banking, our retail banking is just like a retail shop. You can see it on the street, so it actually interact with the customer very closely with products suitable for individuals. Okay, then I move on to commercial banking. Commercial banking are dealing with businesses. They provide solutions for the business and also facility for the services for the business entity. Investment banking are those who develop financial instruments such as options, such as bonds, this kind of thing, right? So they are developing. They're actually doing bigger deals. They are corporate, between the corporate. They help to raise funds by issuing bonds and merger and things like that. So it happens. They don't normally have like branch banking hall. They don't. Okay, they work behind the scene. And digital, I would say probably is fintech. Fintech, e-wallet and things like that. They may not be in Malaysia. They are now actually giving license for digital bank, and a lot of this fintech like what is this Celcom, and like recently Celcom and RHB, they team up to try to get a license on it. So for digital, it's always a merger of a digital entity or fintech with the bank in Malaysia context. So that's why you have rules and all this, right? Eventually, bank will be having all this in their consortium.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Mr. Stephen. I hope this answered the question. Moving on to the next question. This is, I think, everyone wants to know, especially university students. So, any tips for internship, I presume, in the banking industry for university students?
All right. For banking line, right? I think for the graduates, I think most of you might come across like the management training and notice. These are available in JobStreet where you can actually apply to the HR. I think for this kind of management training program, probably one of it that you can actually apply to. All right. So in the management training program, some bank they have like 6-month program, some they have 9 months program whereby they actually expose you to different segment, even to the branches and within the HQ. Then from there, you can actually learn almost everything a little bit, and then you choose what you want. All right. And sometimes in collaboration with Bank Negara, they do allocate some of the quota for the banks, whereby we actually hired fresh graduate to come over to work in the branch on a contract basis, like for 1 year. All right. So the program actually gives chance to fresh graduates to expose themselves to the financial industry.
Oh, all right, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Mr. Stephen, do you have anything to add on?
Yeah, okay. So here they ask actually any tips for internship. I will interpret this question another way. Probably I'll interpret in this. Once you get into the internship, what are the tips for you? If that's the way the question is structured, then my advice is that if you are an intern, please make use of all the opportunity given to you, and to sharpen up your soft skills and develop good network and relationship with your peers or your superior. If you intend to stay in that industry or stay with that bank for a longer time, it is important that during your internship you show interest, enthusiasm, and also progress, so that people will think of you if they want another helping hand. So that will help. That will really help.
Okay, so it's about being active and actively participating and grabbing opportunities that you can. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Stephen and Ms. Soon. So moving on to the next question. What is your outlook on the future of retail banking? How did the pandemic impact the industry? And do you think some operations have been forced to improve?
Okay, definitely the future of retail banking. Right now, I think you would agree with me if I say people are getting more tech savvy. All right. So even myself, I go to a bank, but I don't really do my transaction over the counter. I would prefer just use my iPhone and just have my few clicks and then done. All right. So I think that probably will be the future of retail banking per se. And then how is this pandemic impact the industry? We are impacted a lot. Because our customer might afraid to come over to branch. So a lot of things we are doing, like a virtual meeting and so forth. Even we split into like working from home and all this. Yeah. I think I pass over to Stephen. He might be able to answer better on this one.
Yeah, if you read some of the reports in the social media or news outlet, you will notice that just this couple of weeks, there are news about HSBC are closing like about 13 branches all over Malaysia. And then also Hong Leong, they are closing like 30 branches. So there is a report saying that for the next few years, there will be 300 over branches will be closed. So those are the estimation. It could be just an estimation. It may not be really coming true, but you can see the trend and the outlook of this industry. Because just like Ms. Sun share, right? You and I don't think you go to bank to do transaction, right? I tell you one experience. The other day, I need to open an investment account and invest through a very manual way. I need to go to a branch, meet up with the guy, and sign the document and do my biometric there. And it's a hassle, right? It's a hassle. Although the experience was not too bad, the service was good, but having the idea like you need to drive all the way there, find a parking, put on your double mask, go into, keep the social distance, and all this is really not my cup of tea. I rather, and today I opened another account, okay, online, and I was sharing with Yi Ling as well. It was such a pleasant experience. I just sit there at the comfort of my house, I click, and just happened that the website was great, the design was great, the bandwidth was great, everything was smooth. I've done it, and I can try out a lot of things whereby really save time. If I were to do it the manual way, it probably take me a couple of hours. But the whole experience online, it took me like less than 30 minutes. I got it done whatever I want and at the comfort of my house. So that is where the future is. Now, the question was, do you think some operations have been forced to improve? Yes, definitely. Oh, actually, what happened in the banking sector now is there is always a constant improvement. things like you need to do a 10-step thing. Now you have to do it like in 5 or 3 steps. And then used to be like a lot of red tapes. Now they need to get rid of that. If they don't get rid of all these and improve, they will be gotten rid of. Right, so that is the outlook. So retail banking will be very different in the future. It is more digital, it's more service based rather than just transactional based. It's all value added, and it will be more sophisticated than just plan, counting cash, and giving it and issuing cash. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think digitalization is going to push like all industries to, keep improving and keep upgrading themselves. Right. Thank you so much for that sharing. So the next question would be, any tips on gaining work experience as university students? I think Miss Soon, she partially answered this because she mentioned on the management trainee programs that are being offered by banks. So I think that is one way that university students can gain work experience in this industry. But Miss Soon and Mr. Stephen, do you have anything to add on for this question?
In fact, during the interview, sometimes you come across a graduate. They in fact taking the insurance license while they are studying, and definitely this will add value to their resume per se. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think this relates to the other question about whether you need financial degree in order to work in the retail banking. I think nowadays more relevant is not that degree anymore. It's more on the licensing. You have the bank insurance license or investment license or the credit license. Or those are even more prevalent, because without those license, you can't even do any of the job. And there is a new experience here when the pandemic hit us, is that in the past, it's actually you can sit for all these licensing tests very easily because they have it every year, every month, and it's very easy to register and sit for the test. But when the pandemic hits us and the MCO and whatnot, right, a lot of these examinations are being cancelled or postponed, and it's very hard to actually, or even just to sit for the exam, not to pass it. So that is something that you can do if you really want to go try out in the banking sector in the front line as then you would really want to see you want to get those license during your university life so that you are one step ahead. Yeah, that definitely helps.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you so much for sharing. So moving on, we're actually going to take a look at this question because it's pretty interesting and I'm sure a lot of people want to know how to ace interviews for the banking industry.
So, Steven, you want to take this first?
No, you take it first. I'll come in later.
I'll take. Okay, so I think jointly with Steven, probably we have interviewed like more than 1,000 people.
Wow.
For this, I think even like last month alone, I think we interviewed like about 20 to 30 people. So how to ace interview? Okay, to be frank, like today, if I were to see you face to face, all right, of course the first impression is very important, right? So but even before the first impression, I think the resume that you send in to us, right, that determine whether we want to shortlist you to the interview or not, right? So for that matter, the resume itself is very important. And of course, people with good results will attract us, because for our concern is that if you have good result, then probably it will be easier for you to pass the licensing. All right, but this is not the priority. All right, when we meet you, then we will ask a lot of questions, and then I think it's important for you to get ready before to the interview. Like I think today is a very good session. At least you roughly know and have idea about the banking as a whole. All right, but during the interview, we actually study your body language, the tone when you actually talk to us, and then and how you actually answer us. It is more into attitude and also the impression that we have when we talk to you. Yeah.
I see. So it's a lot about the impression that you actually put
Yes.
that they actually give us in the interviews. That's like the most important.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you so
because
much.
during an interview, you try to put your best self and impress on the other party within a short span of like 15, 30 minutes, right? And if you're unlucky, probably 5 minutes when the interview say, thank you for your time, and you know that it didn't go well. But visual is very important. So a job interview or a job seeking process start at the point of handing in the resume. So the resume must be neat, must serve the purpose. So it's always good to enclose your very neat photo. Okay, the most professional and pleasant looking of yourself, rather than the odd angle selfie. Take a more conventional, more professional looking photo. That would definitely help. As far as me concerned, I would look at that. That actually has some bearing. But during the interview, to me as an interviewer, I would speak a little, but the interviewee will be doing all the talking. You guys, if you are come to my interview, you will be doing the heavy lifting. I'll be there just. So and then what am I looking for? I'm looking for like how good you picking up the question, how good you can understand the question, and how articulate you are in terms of expressing your thoughts, and whether your thought makes sense or not, whether it's logical or not. And then I want to see when you speak, whether you present the kind of pleasantness people would like you, right? Or rather, when you open your mouth, people just cannot stand. Why don't you just shut up, right? So because that is actually will impact your future, and we want to know whether you are an intelligent person, and we also want to know your character. We normally hire character and train for skill set. Sometimes skill set is not that important. The character can be trained, cannot be trained easily, but skill set can. Yeah, so those are our tips. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing. That was really insightful. So since we're on the topic of interviews and you mentioned CV and resume, the next question, what's the difference between CV and resume? So someone's like still confused about this. Yeah.
Hey, okay, to me, these are the same thing. We don't really differentiate between CV and resume per se. I think it's different country, they are using different, but to us, it actually the same thing, be it a CV or a resume. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. All right. So there's that. Moving on to the next question, which I think is also pretty interesting as well. Does retail banking have positions that relate to computer science, data science, and data analytics, or anything with an IT background?
Yeah, definitely. Now, moving forward in the future, it will be heavier and heavier depending on computer science, especially the data science and data analytics. AI would be the one big thing coming in. I think most of you now, when you have a banking account, you will have a phone apps, apps to do that, right? And that apps itself create a lot of opportunity for banks, okay? Because they can track you, your habits, how your spending is, what is your preference. And with big data, they can actually time your spending and when you need certain thing, and messages or opportunity will pop in your handphone at the right time to entice you to take on the service of the bank. So all these are driven by IT and data science. So I just give you an example. I think a few years back, there's a bank, I don't want to mention any bank, name, but the banks are actually so short of data scientists, they actually outsource, the whole big data project to India, because they just can't find suitable person here in Malaysia to fill the job. So that is what happened then. We do not have the kind of talent in Malaysia. But I think moving forward, it will change. So there is definitely a lot of opportunity in banking sector for computer science, data science, and AI, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's not only in banking industry. I think basically is in entire of Malaysia, there are lack of this expertise. I was joking to my husband the other day. I said, if I were to have a son, then I might want to enroll him for something that is related to IT course. That is the future. That is the future.
Yeah, data is everywhere, and data is the future. Yeah, so thank you so much for that.
Digital is the future.
Right, very true. Thank you so much for that. So now to sidetrack a bit and like have a little laugh, what are some of the funniest things, or is there a funniest customer that you've like met in the retail banking work life? Like, could you share a little bit on some funny instances?
Funny, I mean, we have a lot of customer, not a lot lah. Sometimes we do encounter customer who come and complain a lot. All right, they come and complain a lot. Yeah, it could be the wrongdoing of the bank itself. All right, it could be them taking things too serious. All right, so you have this kind of customer come and shout at the bank, but the good thing is that normally it will become the close friend of the banker who handle them lah. So, yeah, it will. If you handle the customer right, they will become your best friend, and they will support you a lot.
Yeah, I remember the first day. The first day, years ago, I was a new BM. I joined CIMB as a BM. So the first day when I step into the bank, and there was a customer come into the banking hall, and he was shouting, and wow, make a big scene at the banking hall. So I was first day into the job, and I don't know head and tail. I don't even know the name of my staff. But having that drama at the banking hall, so I do any decent leader would do, right? We go step forward and meet the problem head on. So he has something to complain. Okay, he is not happy. So I attend to him and try to calm him down. And yeah, but even though he was very angry, he really lashed out his emotion towards me. Nothing of my doing, actually. But at the end, like Ms. Sun said, at the end, after so many years, okay, wherever I go, whichever bank I go to, he will say, "Oh, you are good in that bank. Okay, I'll support you." If I call him, if I were in town, he will be very happy to meet me up and just chat and chat and chat. So there's a lot of this kind of incident. I don't know whether it's qualified as a funny or not, but it's definitely a very satisfying encounters and experience.
That's nice. That's nice. So somehow there will be some customer antics that we'll have to face, and one day we can actually have a laugh about it. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for sharing. So moving on to the next question. What are the procedures about retail banking, and can retail banking be fully moved to online mode or fully digitalized? I think you've touched on this a little bit earlier, but is there anything to add on and to re-emphasize?
Yeah, about this, whether the retail banking can be fully moved to online mode, definitely, because there are such banks like in Europe, they are totally 100% digital. They do not have branches. You cannot meet them. You can only meet them. So for the newer banks, right? For the newer banks, I think a lot of banks tried before. I think CIMB tried in Philippines. It's only digital. There is no physical bank, and some other bank tried in Vietnam. Because that's the ways to go. You move away from brick and mortar, and by doing so you reduce a lot of cost, human cost, the setup cost, and you can scale easily, right? Digital, you can do it in KL. The same time, transaction happen in Kelantan, in Sabah, in Sarawak. You can scale easily. So that definitely is happening.
Yeah, I think just like us, we wouldn't imagine like if you go to a supermarket, it is without the cashier, right? But that is happening in overseas. So that's coming real soon. Yeah, we need to embrace for this.
I think if I were to actually maybe add on by asking to this question, how near do you see that the potential for banks to go 100% digital, like the examples that you mentioned earlier, in the Malaysian context? Like, do you see it happening anytime soon, or what's the rough time frame?
Well, that is a real good question. Okay, I've been in the banking industry for long enough, and during earlier days, right, we started to hear ghost story like, wow, digital are coming, the bank is going to change. We don't need tellers, and then the bank is going to getting small. There will be only, a lot of the ghost story, and then the branch should be closed. And mind you, that was decades ago, Those days sounds like it's not going to happen in the next 5 years, but it never did happen. Because I think in order to have all this happen in a very fast pace, it has to be supported by government initiative. So taking our Malaysian context, a lot of small places in Kelantan, Sabah, outskirt branches, Sarawak, small places, the infra is not there. Your internet connection
Right.
is not stable, right? And then the level of sophistication of the community that is not there. People still prefer to keep money at the in the some tin can and
In the tabung.
so as long as we have this batch of people is still around us, it's very hard to go fully digital. So in Malaysian context, I think there are, if we are still going the pace that we were going and government did not intervene and we just move on like that, it will probably be 10 years, I think. But
Okay.
it can be turned very fast. For example, China, and then followed by India, right? You can't imagine they are more digitized than Malaysia, because why? Government effort is behind it. So if one day the government bank say, no, okay, we are definitely want to go digital full scale, don't care, then it will be happening very, very fast.
Okay, so at the end of the day, it boils down to how fast digitalization catches up to people and how tech savvy people are, and also like the government's initiatives.
Yes.
So,
yes.
so for that matter, probably maybe they will start with like Klang Valley first. Probably because the people there are more tech savvy, and I think in that context also that also boils down to why branches are closing down, right?
So like targeting the urban, more of the urban areas first would be
because there is no need to actually maintain that much number of branches in that particular area, right? Because it is very costly.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah,
very true. All right, thank you so much for sharing, Ms. Soon and Mr. Stephen. Moving on, okay, there's this question. I know nothing about finance, at least when it comes to real life industry experience. So what skills should I prep myself before joining the banking industry, I presume, other than knowing Excel? Yeah, it's quite a good question. Very interesting as well.
Okay, if you were to join branches and to begin with sales, how you prep yourself is that I think you need to talk more. You need to engage with people, you need to talk to stranger, you need to learn about communication skill. And to me, it's more on this, it's a people skill, human skill, interpersonal skill. Yeah.
I think it depends on which direction you want to go. But before you join, you wouldn't know, right? But if you're just coming in, like just now we show you the pillars, the two pillars, you are more going on the sales side. I think knowing Excel will not help much, right? I think the more helpful thing is to read more. Read more and then gain the knowledge of what is going on in the world. Read more about Bitcoin. Read more about businesses, tech, how things are influencing the progress of the world. Because when you come into the banking scenario, right, all these things will start to link. The technical thing you learn in the bank, then it start to link with the outside world, the business. Then you become a more knowledgeable person. And when you converse with your client or your customer, you will be able to easier to convey the concept or your thoughts to them, and they will resonate with you. Otherwise, you will be just like a fresh grade, and then you just talk things like out of the textbook, and that really can't make things work. Yeah.
Right.
I think for every knowledge that you get is like a dot, right? And then you are joining the dot together. And then that's how you actually present it when you or communicate to your customer at the end of the day.
So at the end of the day, like people skills matter because you'll be communicating with customers, and to actually help further support that is your knowledge on financial news and keeping up with all financial news. All right, that's awesome. So moving on, our next question. Those licenses that you mentioned earlier, banking and insurance licenses, do we have to pay for ourselves? Are they expensive to pay? Are they expensive? And maybe you can touch a bit on if, let's say, as a staff or as an employee of banks, do banks offer scholarships or bank offer subsidy to pursue these licenses? Yeah.
All right. So like I mentioned before, like for insurance license, some of the students they opt to just take it just to add up their value in the resume. So for that matter, the student need to pay for the exam, like the bank assurance. I think the cost for one paper is about 100 to 200 ringgit. It is not that expensive, all right? But if you were to join a bank and under the bank, you're already working with a bank, definitely a bank will actually fully pay for the licensing, normally for your first attempt lah. If you fail it, then on the next attempt, you need to pay by yourself. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Some of the license could be very expensive, but normally those licenses are more advanced, and that is where you take when you are attached to a bank.
I see. Okay. So that'll be more later after you've gained like a certain level of work experience and then you pursue it. I see. Okay. Thank you so much.
When you got into the bank, and you're working and you are one of the you are working, right? And then if you are in already, then there's a lot of opportunity for you to get yourself further into the study. And then a lot of those are actually subsidized or fully paid by the bank. So if you are really one of the among the talents, then the bank would not be like stingy in investing in you.
Yes.
Right?
Okay, all right. So it's actually great to know that banks do subsidize these fees as well.
So for all the licenses that I showed before, in the earlier page, I have all the licenses and all actually paid by the bank. So no worries about that. The bank are treating the employees very, very well, and they value talent a lot.
That's
so
nice.
yeah,
that's nice that they actually like
they value talent. Yeah.
All right. Okay, thank you so much for sharing. So the next question, a very interesting one as well. What is the average starting salary for fresh grads of banking and finance? Yeah.
Wow. It's pretty much depending on the bank. And also location. Yeah. So probably at the range of, well, it's very hard to say an exact price.
Maybe I take this one. I think
you take this one.
The salary range, you can expect something between 2,000 to 3,500.
So it's a wide range.
So who gets the 3,500? I mean, as far as retail banking is concerned, so coming in as fresh without any experience, you get the 3,500. That would be those who come in to be trainee on this Premier Relationship Manager. Those who eventually going to take care of the high net worth customer. Those will be taking the 3,500. I think a lot of banks started this program a couple of years back. They go into this every time when there is a graduation, they will go to the university and promote and just let everybody know that the bank has this program. If you are keen to sign up, they sign you up, they train you, but they bond you as well. Okay, bond meaning that if you leave, they're going to find you. So people are given the best training and given the best customer base for them to excel. But if but you need to have a good, really committed and determined to really make it work. And of course, you need to have those soft skills and whatever not, right? Intelligence and interpersonal skills to make it work. So at the lower spectrum, 2,000 or so is the other kind of sales shop, whereby the product probably not that sophisticated, easier mass market. But for all of this job, right, mostly they are going to pay you handsome incentive or bonuses if you really can perform. So that's the gist of the work.
I see. All right. Thank you so much for sharing. So moving on, I think we can actually go through this next question very quickly because I think it's pretty similar to what's been asked before. I'm taking accounting and finance for my degree. So what kind of job prospects are available in the field?
I think basically everything.
Okay. So you can venture into everything as an okay. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. The next question. How about for mass comm students? What can they work in the banking industry other than in the PR department?
I think like I mentioned earlier on, but if you were to work in branches, right, whatever field that you are studying, if you are studying finance and banking related, yes, it could add value, but we do not put a full stop on other field, right? It depends on how you actually sell yourself during the interview. And of course, also for mass comm student, I think there are also opportunity at HQ level. Yeah, there are also on some department whereby they actually need people to be the liaison of the bank, or even like they need to have internal event within the bank. Yeah, they do have this kind of like people handling event as well.
Yeah, mass comm, I think in the head office setting, they may be well suited for the corporate communication department.
Yeah.
Then we have departments like that dealing with mass comm, corporate communication, the outside world. But in generally in the whole industry, if you're a mass comm student, you will be more exposed to those communication about how perception and how to create a content and how to make a really good impression. And all these are actually very applicable in every aspect of banking industry. Generally.
I see. All right. It's great to know that they're not short of opportunities for mass comm students in the banking industry as well. Yeah. All right. So next question looks pretty interesting as well, and I think a bit on the technical side. So RHB is one of the group bidding the digital banking license issued by the Bank Negara Malaysia. So can you analyze some potential benefit of the company who gets it?
The company who gets what? You're talking about those?
I think company who gets the digital banking license, which issued by Bank Negara. Yeah.
Like Cellcom, for instance, like the collaboration, is it?
To get the license, right? To get the license.
Yeah, like what are the benefits of obtaining that license which is being issued by Bank Negara? Yeah,
of course, there will be huge benefit because you will get the digital license. Then you can really build up a lot of business opportunity in the digital sphere. Okay, so and then this license are actually limited, right? They give limited, and you are on board fast and quick. Then you get the first taste of the first soup, so to say. Then you see, Malaysia is not that digital. I mean, digital money is not that widespread, but it's coming up. So whoever get the bigger portion jump into the pool fast, they'll get the customer base faster. And then they have the benefit of really having collaboration with other bank, other business entities such as Lazada and whatnot, right? So that they can by leveraging on each other, they will have a lot of stickiness and also a lot of wallet share in terms of customers' wallet share. So that will, in terms, give them the bulk of the float of the deposit, which gives them free interest, and also with those funds inside the wallet, they are going to like they will leverage on that using big data and all these digital marketing tools, reap more benefit from the customer. Definitely, it will be a huge thing.
All right. Okay, that's very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing, Mr. Stephen. So the next question would be, which department do you suggest that fresh graduates should join to gain experience for future career development?
I think again it boils down to like what the person want, right? So like we mentioned earlier on, if you are not based in Klang Valley, then your opportunity will limited to branches. And at this point of time, I think most of the branch, they actually hired for a sales relevant position. They are not hired for the operational for that matter. Yeah.
For that, if you are going into like let's say you are out of Klang Valley, it depends on I would say you either go full retail or you want to go to SME.
Yeah.
If you go to SME, then there is a good career path whereby if you develop your credit skill, whereby you need to write papers, analyze business, and assess risk, and then those are also very good future because the industry is also very hungry for this kind of talent. And the years you put into it, the experience actually give you a lot of value. So those are one of the area. Or the other area, you just go into this any type of sales related career whereby you expose yourself and just make sure you grow, you learn and take the experience to make yourself improve on a daily basis. If you're not doing that and you're just feeling stressed instead of any progress, right? I will suggest you to stop and maybe change to other things, because it will not be suitable for you, and you'll be agonizing the whole along the whole career in the banking line.
Yeah, I think it actually boils down to like, I think it's how you take the work seriously. I began myself with the SME banking, but then I changed it to the investment side. So as you join the bank, over time, then you will realize that what you like and what you don't like. Because at this time, you probably just imagine things, right? You try to imagine, if I were to take SME, this is what's going to happen. If I become a RM, what's going to happen, right? So sometimes I think you might not want to limit yourself, because I joined as an SME because I like to read financial statements. All right, I like credit. But after 4 years, then I realized, oh, okay, maybe I want to explore something else. Then I start on the investment side. Then I find it that investment is better. So it's quite fluid like this.
So at the end of the day, as long as we continue to develop ourselves and also explore, there is room for future career development. All right. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Next question. What should I know before applying for loans? I think this is especially from like the fresh graduate and, like freshly working adults. Like, what are the main fundamentals like one should know before applying for loans?
Okay, the question itself is a bit, I am not too sure from which angle. It's like how you prepare yourself so that you can get your loan approved easier, or what you need to know only for that matter.
Probably, I think I'll take this one. Maybe we can look from two angles, right? One is just basically technical. When what do I need to know before I buy a car? Okay, then you need to know all these function of the car and all this, right? So I would just take it from that angle. What should I know before applying for loans? Of course, you need to know what are the terms and conditions. Okay, how is the interest are calculated, and how long, and is there any other terms that is hidden? Is there any other cost that is hidden from you? So that is pretty much quite technical. If you just need to, when you involve in a loan, you talk about your commitment every month, how much you need to pay. Then you talk about the cost, right? The interest, and then you talk about the time frame. So those are the things that is most important. But along the side, you need to look for other small fine print, whereby it may have some hidden cost or hidden condition that will really put you in a less favorable stand. Now, that is from that angle. But from another angle, as a fresh graduate, when you first come out in the community and you want to build yourself credit wise, right? You want to build it up. How do you build it up? Because I'm going to share a little bit of secret in the banking credit world. Is that if you do not have any credit history, you are not a very credit-worthy person, because you have not been proven. So my advice to you, if you come out and work, the first thing probably you want is to get a credit card.
Credit card.
And credit card is easy to approve, and you can just walk in the mall and somebody will come and approach you for the credit card. Don't ditch them now. Don't turn away. Apply one card, okay, and then you start use a little bit, pay a little bit. You don't need to have a very big limit. You just want to have a credit record, and that will help you. That will help you to get better loans approval and better rates. And moving from then, you start to build your credit. I mean, the Chinese have this kind of concept that don't go into loans. It's going to eat you up. But in the modern world, that is not true. Leverage is a very powerful thing, and credit is a very powerful potential for you. If you do not have creditworthiness, then it's you cannot leverage, and that puts you years behind than those who really take advantage of leveraging. So build your creditworthiness. Make sure you are the sought after customer by the bank, and you get the good deals, and you make your life much more easier.
So I think, for instance, like just to make it simple, like Asvina, today you would want to borrow money from me, for instance. So where should I refer to? I do not know you personally, right? So at the end of the day, bank is the same context. We do not know the customer. At the end of the day, we refer to your credit history. So that is why very important, like if you were to have any credit cards, or even you might want to buy a car by taking a higher purchase loan, it is very important for you to pay the loan promptly, because that will affect your future borrowing. Yeah.
Right. So as long as you pay promptly to avoid the, like, because I heard that credit card interest charges are a killer. Yeah. So, but it's good to actually have it for the credit rate, for your credit, to build your credit worthiness up. But it's just that we have to pay promptly.
Yes.
All
The
right.
credit card, actually, the interest rate is not, there is no interest involved if you pay it promptly. The interest only kills you when you don't pay promptly, and it small ball.
Right.
That's why you spend it, you pay it promptly, and if you by doing so, you are actually taking advantage of the bank, not the other way around.
Right. Okay, that's great to hear. All right. So due to time constraints, we will actually go with one last question, and which is one of the most upvoted questions, which is currently on the screen right now, is in your opinion, what are some of the problems in the banking sector that haven't been solved, and what are your thoughts on the future of this industry? I think the second half of the question has been already answered earlier, but maybe the first half is in what are some of the problems in the banking sector that haven't been solved, and maybe what are your opinions on how they can be solved? Yeah.
To me, I will look at one angle. I think because I'm in Sabah, I will be more familiar with the Sabah context. You see, a lot of these small business people or small timers, when they are doing business, especially for smaller town, small businesses, these people may not have a very perfect record of their transaction. They don't even have a proper financial statement. You know, they don't keep their proper record, but they are doing business and they are making money. But when this happens, right, the financial institution have a hard time assessing their business, assessing the pattern. So this actually it can be solved in like what happening in US. They actually what's the name of that company again? It slipped my mind. The founder is okay, never mind. So they have this system. They give all these small businesses a device they plug in their handphone, and this device can actually charge credit cards and do transaction. And from them, they help all these small businesses to tap on digital world. And once they use that device and do business, that company actually helps them to build a profile, the cash flow, the transaction, and from them, right, that company itself already have enough information to determine how the business is doing, how much they are good for credits, and it all driven by mass data and AI. And I think this is one of the things that we can help those really those businesses whereby they are not really savvy, they do not have proper records, and it can bridge the gap. So that's one.
All right. I think there's an answer from the chat. Is the company called Square Inc?
Yeah, right. That's
okay.
right. Okay. So you have been reading right. Okay, those are the things you know.
Okay. All right. I think this is something that, like, would be actually very interesting to read up on. Yeah. All right. So if that is not, if that is all, I think we've reached the end of our questions, unfortunately, due to time constraints. So thank you. A very big thank you, Mr. Stephen and Ms. Soon, for actually joining us and sharing with us so many useful insights in this industry. And of course, to all of our participants who joined us, thank you very much for coming. So if real quick, maybe if all of us can switch on our cameras, we can take one group photo to commemorate. All right. Okay. All right. So yeah, feel free to join us with your cameras. You can just take one picture and yeah. All right. Maybe we give like 1 to 2 more minutes for everyone to turn on. All right, nice to see all of your faces. Yes, I'm so glad to hear that, everyone managed to learn a lot. That's really nice. Thank you so much to our speakers. I definitely learned a lot more about retail banking, and now I feel like I have more knowledge at hand. Yeah, and so sorry to the rest who didn't get your questions answered, because I think unfortunately due to time constraints we had to cut short. All right, so if that is it, maybe Aisha, you want to take the picture for us?
All right. On the count of 3.
Okay.
Okay. There's actually 3 pages, so we'll take pictures 3 times. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. Second page. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Last page. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you. I'll share the pictures in our WhatsApp group.
All right, awesome. Okay, thank you so much, Aisha. Okay, so before you go, it would be actually helpful if all of you helped us submit this feedback form. You can scan the QR code or click on the link that will be sent in the chat box. So your feedback is very much appreciated to help us improve. And if you fill up this feedback form, you will actually receive an e-certificate of participation that will be sent to your email. So when you're filling up the feedback form, do fill it up with the name that you would like to appear on the e-certificate. So in the meantime, do follow us on our Instagram account to stay up to date on our events, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Taylor's AKPK Club. All right. And also, if you're a Taylorian and are interested in joining Taylor's AKPK Club, just scan the QR code that you see there, and or also click the link in the chat box to sign up as a member. If you have any questions regarding the club, feel free to ask us in the chat box here, or also you can send us a DM on our Instagram at taylors.akpk. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you to the speakers. It's Ashwina, President of Taylor's AKPK, signing off. Have a great weekend. Have a great weekend ahead. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we'll leave this QR code up for a bit, for everyone to get it. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Hope to see you all in our future events as well.
Thank you, guys. Good night.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sifan. Thank you so much, Ms. Soon.
Thank you and good night. Remember to greet your father a happy Father's Day on this coming Sunday.
Right, yes. Thank you for the reminder.
All right, take care, all right?
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Ms. Soon. Bye-bye. All right, bye-bye, everyone. Take care.